Copyright and self-taught. Right?
Yeah.
Everything else. Because what my inspiration? Bruce Lee, Dan Inosanto.
Yeah.
Two highly self-taught
Self-taught
individuals.
Yeah.
Guys, if you loved this video, make sure you like it, make sure you share it out. We're going to be closing it up for now, but make sure that if you're still listening, drop any final comments, any kind of questions.
Were there any more questions? Do we have any time?
Actually, on Instagram,
Okay.
what from No Nows, we don't have the real name. What year did Jeet Kune Do start? From transition to Jun Fan, did Bruce let all generation students know?
What year did Jeet Kune Do start and then transition to what?
From Jun Fan,
Jun Fan.
did Bruce let all generation students know?
That's interesting. Okay, so in terms of when did Jeet Kune Do start? So my evidence is signs that were hung first at the Los Angeles Chinatown School and then subsequently at Inosanto and Bustillo's Kali Academy. And there's one of them where with Bruce Lee's signature it says 1966.
Wow.
And then there's another one and that says 67. And in Sifu Dan's book it says that they were having the conversation in, I think he says December of 68. So I think that's chronologically inaccurate because of the fact that there's something that says 1966. So maybe he meant that the conversation occurred in December of 1966 as opposed to 1968. There's an article where Bruce Lee talks about, because this second part about from the transition from Jun Fan, right? So maybe, like we were saying, that the Seattle era is modified Wing Chun, right? The Jun Fan era occurs in Oakland, and then the Jeet Kune Do era occurs in Los Angeles. So maybe the question is, did he inform the Oakland and Seattle people about this thing now called Jeet Kune Do? The answer to that, to the best of my understanding and my knowledge, is yes, because there is a thing where he says that Taki and James are senior, because he's talking about the three people that he's given permission to teach. And he says that Taki Kimura, a trusted friend and loyal student in Seattle, James Lee, another trusted friend and loyal student, and then he says, and then Dan Inosanto teaches us his hobby here in Los Angeles. And then he makes the point that Dan has less training than James and Taki, and I think that was just because of the time at which this article was written, or he was saying. But he says that, but Dan met me during the midst of my evolution. You see? And so he says that whenever they can, they try to update James Lee and Taki Kimura.
Right.
So I think that's what that question might be about. So my answer would be, yes, Bruce Lee did inform the two earlier generations.
Now from Brian Pakanowski. I always thought that Jun Fan gradually grew into JKD. Are they both different, or did they actually grow gradually?
I would say it grew gradually. Yeah, I would say that if you have to sit down and identify the eras and give them a name, you see, that's how we would do it. Seattle, modified Wing Chun, or non-classical Chinese Kung Fu. You look at Bruce Lee's book that was written, the one, right? The philosophical art of self-defense. That was the Seattle era.
I got that book.
They're dressed in the Kung Fu suits, right? Some of the technique is definitely classic Chinese Kung Fu or even Wing Chun, right? Then in Oakland, by that time, he has started moving away from Wing Chun. If you read some of the letters that were written during that time, right? So that could be identified as the era of Jun Fan.
Right.
And for me, in Jun Fan, there is the Jun Fan kickboxing, which is entry level, and then there's the Jun Fan Kung Fu. Because for me, I think it's easier to teach people kicking and punching before you try to teach them trapping and grappling. So that's how I break down terminology. So then there's Jun Fan kickboxing, Jun Fan kung fu, but then the expansion of that into greater ideas. Now he doesn't want the name Jeet Kune Do comes about because it expresses what in his opinion was the highest level of countering. It's taken from fencing. Steven Crowder, this is a guy who knows nothing about martial arts, right? Bruce Lee, as you say. But he has the wherewithal to look at fencing and say, the stop hit is the highest level.
Right.
And then he and Dan Inosanto go, well, yeah, we should call what we do the stop hitting style. The name Jeet Kune Do is born.
Yeah.
And then, hear what some of the detractors say. Almost immediately, Bruce Lee is like upset that he gave it a name because now people are going to say it's this and it's not that or whatever. But see, I don't think that there's a problem with that. Mm-hmm. As long as people understand that it's merely, here's what some people like to say, because it's what Bruce Lee said. It's merely a name, don't fuss over it.
You're right.
With that, I strongly disagree. Fuss over it. Because if it's a thing that directs your life, if it's a thing that is of extreme importance to you, you're not going to fuss over it, right? If you have kids, right? If you have kids and your kids are important to you, you don't fuss over them?
Of course.
Come on.
Of course.
Please, right? So this, I think I understand what Bruce Lee was trying to say. Don't get caught up in the name.
Right.
But he wasn't saying, don't get caught up in your training. Don't get caught up in how martial art training can transform you.
Exactly.
That's not what he was saying. He was saying, don't get caught up in the name Jeet Kune Do itself. Call it whatever it is, I'm paraphrasing, right? Call it whatever it is that you want.
Right.
But I choose to call it Jeet Kune Do because it identifies my connection to my teacher and my teacher's teacher, something of which I'm extremely proud, right? And anybody who has gone the path that I have gone should be extremely proud. Why would I not fuss over it?
Yeah.
It's a big deal. Was there one more? We should take one more.
One last one.
Final question. Final question.
Did Bruce Lee research Kali and Silat?
Who said that?
No nows.
No nows.
In Instagram.
Instagram.
Okay. As far as research, I have seen a slip of paper which was a representation of a note where it was something about if someone saw a Silat practitioner, and I don't remember exactly what it said, but it was something like if someone saw a Silat practitioner and thought that it was some kind of esoteric, whatever, they'd be gravely mistaken. And then there's something about investigate for fighting from the ground. And that is a handwritten note from Bruce Lee. In terms of researching Kali, again, to the best of my knowledge, the best of my understanding, Dan Inosanto shared his knowledge of Filipino martial arts with Bruce Lee. I don't know if Bruce Lee was aware of them before. I suspect that he might have been. From stories that I've heard, the two of them had a wonderful time visiting the old bookstores in downtown Los Angeles and what have you, and being amongst the first modern era, Steven Crowder, modern era martial art cross trainers. Yes, we know pankration came way before in ancient Greece, okay? All right, nobody's saying that Bruce Lee was the first or anything.
That's awesome. Guys, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Instagram. Thank you, Facebook. Make sure you like this, you share it if you're on Instagram, double tap it or heart it or whatever it is. Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you on the next episode.